So I went on a trip across the country, and to shoot a series of short films, all 1 minute each, and based off the movie The Five Obstructions by Lars and Bjorn. And to explain that real quick, The Five Obstructions, which you haven't seen, which I suggest you do, it's a great film. It's more of a documentary, and it's pretty much a game for those two. It's about Jorgen Leth being challenged by Lars von Trier, and Lars von Trier would go out and give him these rules that he has to, for him to recreate a previous movie that he made called The Perfect Human. And what he would do is that he would give him a set of rules based on, the talks that they would have, and those rules would, either that he would have to follow those rules and please Lars von Trier to, fulfill the challenge. And that's pretty much what I did on this trip, except on a different level. Bjorn was my Lars von Trier, and he challenged me to a set of rules along this trip. And having 1 minute short films is an obstruction enough. Trying to tell a story in 1 minute with videos, it's pretty hard. So just thinking about that and the rules that he gave me on top of that was quite difficult. So I brought a DVD that has my 5 short films. Originally I was going to give you guys a big documentary or whatever, but because of time constraints and unfinished product, I couldn't do that. So I'm going to present you guys the 5 films that I made. And to me, they're not really, they're short films, but to me they're more of videos of expression of the moments I've had throughout the trip and of, the mental state that I was going through, because it was a pretty hard trip, and it was a lot of fun, but there were moments where I just wanted to go home and I just wanted to separate myself from the group that I was traveling with, and there were just moments where I was just, we're still friends. We're still friends. He's right here, he's filming me, and this is actually for the future product that I'm going to be working on after this, which is a documentary because it's unfinished. But yeah, so I have those films ready to go. I'm going to explain them each first before we view them. The first film, the obstruction, was to shoot one take, just one take, one shot, in 60 seconds. So I had to tell a story, or whatever expression of emotion or whatever, in one long 60-second individual take. And it was difficult, but on the first day, me and Trevor just had a long talk, because there's a lot of time on the road when you're going across country in 47 days. And I came up with the idea of, the character losing something, and what he lost is kind of up to you guys to interpret. And it was filmed in Yellowstone National Park, which is amazing. And for me, the way I interpret it is, it's a character based off me right now. It's played by Trevor, because there was only 2 of us, and we don't have that many actors over it. And nobody was really that cooperative. But I could have asked the Bison, but they would gore me. And how I interpreted it was that I forgot something at home, and it's better explained. These 5 short films are better explained with a documentary wrapped around it, but that's why I'm explaining them now. I lost something not quite tangible, but kind of the reason why I went on this trip. I was so rabid and pressured about this project. I just wanted to make this thing amazing, and I kind of forgot about the fun of the trip. And Trevor could tell you. You can ask him in the barbecue how, excuse my language, but how much of an asshole I was sometimes. And I had to learn that the hard way, because eventually you'll hear about in the later films. That was that. I lost something, and this character kind of represents that part of the beginning of the trip. It kind of goes through each of the moments of the trip. The second film, The Obstruction, was pretty much a free-for-all. It was a freestyle film. I could do whatever I want, which was probably the most difficult one for me, because I had all these options, and I had all these, the power to film whatever I want. And we decided on a stop-motion film, which was stupid because it's so hard to do. And so we tried it a couple times. We tried it in Seattle, we tried it in Vegas, we tried it just a bunch of times, and it just didn't end up working out. In the end, I realized I just had 4 short films, so recently I filmed it at my house, so it's nowhere exotic or anything like that, but it works. It's pretty much, I call it the perfect morning. Originally, it was supposed to be a stop motion film where the character kind of goes through getting up in the morning and everything's moving around him, everything's doing everything for him, the clothes appear on him, the toothbrushes, brushing his teeth, like he's not doing anything, and the last thing he does, he walks out the door and he forgets to turn the light off, and that's the only thing that he does in the morning. And I wanted to do that, but stop motion film takes so long to produce, and so I kind of made a version of that. It's more focused on the jump cuts, and it's weird and freestyle, so I just filmed it, and it kind of expressed like how I was finally on this trip, and it's going the way I wanted it to in the beginning. And then halfway through the trip, this next film was, third film, was completely unintentional. This is footage I just found when I was going through the films, and it was actually a practice film for what I was going to shoot in New Orleans with the BP oil spill, and the obstruction was to shoot an ugly film, meaning like I would not try to be compositionally correct or anything like that, and that was kind of a challenge for me because I just like to make things look pretty, so on film, and so that was Bjorn's challenge to me, is to just not try to be like a perfectionist, and it's sometimes hard for me to do. So I just practiced it in San Francisco, and I was filming Trevor and my friend Mike, and I was just kind of messing around with the camera and trying to be as unprofessional as possible. And it turned out that happened to be my film because we couldn't find anything for the BP oil spill because we couldn't get out there without a boat, which is one of the locals told us. So I mean, we couldn't find it at all, which is weird because it's a big thing. But so I looked at this footage and I realized this practice footage did mean a lot to me, because when I look at it now, it's kind of hard for me to watch sometimes, and especially the fourth one is hard for me to watch because it kind of shows you through my eyes how I felt about Trevor and Mike at the time. I was just kind of lost and disconnected from the group, and I was just focused on this project and focused on like me trying to be this big thing, or me trying to make this great project, where I kind of just lost the notion of having fun on the trip, and it shows that in that film. And in the second film, the fourth film, sorry, fourth film is my therapy session, if you will. My mentor Bjorn asked Trevor and Mike to make the obstruction for me. So they thought of the idea of sitting me down and talking to me and having a little session of like, look, you're acting like, like an asshole. And so that was probably the hardest part for me on this trip, was admitting the things, how I was acting sometimes. And it shows in the fourth clip, and it's still like, whenever I watch it, I'm just kind of a little uneasy about watching it. So that's that. And the fifth and final film was probably the most fun for me to make. It was, Bjorn asked me, I was in a lot of desert, and surprisingly I had cell phone service, which was pretty cool. And I called Bjorn, and I was like, all right, I need another obstruction, I'm running out of ideas. And he's like, I want you to make a film for someone you care about. And so I made a film for my girlfriend. And what I did was I took pieces of paper, wrote a message on them, and went across the country and placed them in like the Grand Canyon, Zion National Park. And I wrote a message to her about like how I felt about her. And it came out at the end, and I showed her, and I gave her all the signs that I incorporated into that film. It was more of a montage, and it was just fun to make. But those are the 5 films in general, and if you guys want one, now that I've explained it, we can start. Start from the beginning, please.
not to like possibly if you are or anywhere other than right where you are.
Barely tolerated.
Yeah. You don't sound your friend on there.
Yeah, you don't.
You have an air about you where you just like you seem like you're depressed and miserable. You don't feel like sometimes miserable.
Just looking, you're drowning off into miserableness. I don't know.
This is morning. It's when I spend the most time thinking about what I've given up. This is a warning. When you start the day, just close the curtains. You're thinking about what I've given up. Where are you now? As I'm swimming through the stereo, I'm writing you a symphony of sound. Where are you now? As we erase the songs again, this mix could burn a hole in anyone. It was you I was thinking of. It was you I was thinking of.
So those are the video clips I came up with, and that was it. I have time for questions. All right.